For decades, Jim Carrey has been one of the most recognizable faces in global entertainment, a performer whose elastic expressions and boundless physical comedy defined an era of film and television. To millions, he was the embodiment of joy, loud, fearless, and endlessly inventive. Whether talking out of both sides of his mouth, contorting his body into impossible shapes, or delivering rapid-fire dialogue with machine gun precision, Carrey had a gift for making people laugh in ways that felt both shocking and deeply familiar. Yet beneath the rubber-faced grin and explosive energy existed a man shaped by hardship, reflection, and emotional depth. His journey is not simply the rise of a comedian, but the evolution of a human being navigating success, loss, identity, and meaning. To understand Jim Carrey fully, one must look past the punchlines and into the quieter moments that forge the artist behind the laughter. Early life, growing up, without a safety net. Jim Carrey was born in Newmarket, Ontario, Canada, into a family that understood instability more than comfort. His father, Percy Carrey, was a talented musician who chose a more conventional career to support his family, while his mother, Kathleen, struggled with ongoing health issues. Financial hardship followed the Careys throughout Jim's childhood, forcing frequent moves and an ever-present sense of uncertainty. At one point, the family lived out of a van, while Percy worked as a janitor to keep food on the table. These early experiences left a lasting imprint on Jim, teaching him that security was fragile and that laughter could be both a shield and a survival tool. Comedy became a way to lift his family's spirits, a way to momentarily escape the stress that surrounded them, and a way for a young boy to feel useful in a world that often felt unstable. Discovering comedy as a lifeline. From a young age, Carrey demonstrated an unusual ability to mimic voices, exaggerate expressions, and capture attention without saying a word. School became his stage, and impressions of teachers and classmates earned him laughs that felt like validation. Humor gave him control in situations where he otherwise had none. It wasn't about fame or applause at first. It was about connection. Comedy allowed him to transform fear into joy and anxiety into performance. As his confidence grew, so did his ambition, and by his teenage years, he was determined to pursue stand-up comedy professionally. That determination culminated in his first major test, stepping onto a real comedy stage at just 15 years old. A painful first step into stand-up, Carrey's debut at a Toronto comedy club was far from triumphant. Wearing a loud polyester suit and relying heavily on rehearsed impressions, he faced a crowd that was unforgiving and unimpressed. He was booed off the stage, a humiliating experience for anyone, let alone a teenager chasing a dream. For many, such a moment might have ended the journey entirely, but for Carrey, it became a turning point. He realized that imitation and performance alone were not enough. Audiences responded to authenticity, not polish. Instead of quitting, he retreated, observed, and learned. Years later, when he returned to the stage, he did so with a looser style, embracing spontaneity and allowing his natural personality to lead. That failure planted one of the most important lessons of his life. Success begins when you stop pretending to be something you're not. Leaving home and chasing the dream. By the age of 19, Carrey set his sights on Los Angeles, the epicenter of entertainment and opportunity. The move was both bold and terrifying, driven by belief rather than certainty. Hollywood offered no warm welcome. Auditions were frequent, but fruitless. Money was scarce, and rejection became routine. Carrey performed anywhere he could: small clubs, open mic nights, and minor television appearances, often working for little or no pay. Despite the grind, his originality began to attract attention from established comedians such as Rodney Dangerfield and Sam Kinison, who recognized his raw talent and encouraged him to keep pushing forward. Their mentorship reinforced his belief that he belonged in comedy, even when the industry seemed indifferent. The long road of rejection. Before success came persistence. Carrey faced countless setbacks, including a failed attempt to join the cast of Saturday Night Live, a rejection that stung deeply given the show's status as a comedy launching pad. Even worse, his audition tape never reached the producers. Still, he refused to see rejection as a verdict on his worth. Instead, he treated each disappointment as information, evidence of where he needed to grow. This period hardened his resolve and sharpened his craft, teaching him discipline and patience. Slowly, his efforts paid off with television work and recurring roles, each one building momentum towards something bigger. In Living Color, the break that changed everything. Carrey's breakthrough arrived in the early 1990s when he joined the cast of In Living Color, a sketch comedy show that allowed him complete creative freedom. On that stage, he unleashed a brand of comedy unlike anything audiences had seen before: wildly physical, unpredictable, and fearless. Characters like Fire Marshal Bill and Vera DeMilo showcased his willingness to push boundaries and commit fully to absurdity. The show became a cultural phenomenon, and Carrey quickly emerged as its standout star. More importantly, it gave him a platform to be himself, proving that originality could triumph over convention. Hollywood stardom and explosive success. The mid-1990s marked one of the most remarkable runs in film history. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber, and Liar Liar transformed Carrey into a global superstar almost overnight. His performances were larger than life, combining cartoonish physicality with razor-sharp timing. Audiences embraced his uniqueness, and studios rushed to build projects around him. Financial success followed quickly, but with it came immense pressure. The expectations placed on him to be funny, energetic, and endlessly entertaining became a constant weight, even as the world celebrated his success. Personal loss amid professional triumph. While Carrey's career soared, his personal life was marked by profound loss. The death of his mother in 1991 and his father in 1994 left emotional scars that fame could not heal. Carrey has often spoken about his father's influence, particularly the lesson that playing it safe does not guarantee security. Watching his father sacrifice creative dreams for stability only to face hardship later deeply shaped Carrey's worldview. These losses forced him to confront grief while performing at the highest level, adding emotional complexity to his work and fueling a deeper understanding of life's fragility, proving he was more than a comedian. As his career matured, Carrey sought roles that challenged public perception. Films like The Truman Show and Man on the Moon revealed his dramatic range, while Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind showcased a quiet vulnerability that stunned critics and audiences alike. Stripped of exaggerated gestures and loud punchlines, Carrey delivered performances rooted in emotional honesty. These roles proved that his comedy was not a mask hiding emptiness, but a skill grounded in empathy and self-awareness. He was no longer just a comedian. He was a storyteller capable of profound emotional resonance. The emotional cost of fame. Despite acclaim, Carrey struggled privately with depression and identity. The disconnect between public perception and internal reality became increasingly difficult to manage. Fame amplified everything: success, criticism, expectations, leaving little room for stillness. Carrey sought therapy and explored self-reflection, openly discussing mental health long before such conversations became common in Hollywood. His honesty helped dismantle the illusion that success guarantees happiness, revealing instead that fulfillment requires inner alignment rather than external applause. Questioning Hollywood and its values. Over time, Carrey grew increasingly vocal about the superficial nature of the entertainment industry. He questioned the emphasis on image, status, and constant productivity, expressing discomfort with a system that often prioritized profit over authenticity. While his candidness sometimes sparked controversy, it reflected a man no longer interested in pleasing everyone. Rather than retreating in bitterness, Carrey used his voice to challenge norms and encourage deeper conversations about creativity, purpose, and integrity. Stepping away from the spotlight. In 2022, Jim Carrey made a decision that surprised many but felt deeply personal to him. He chose to step away from acting and the relentless rhythm of Hollywood. For an artist who had spent decades living in front of cameras, crowds, and expectations, the choice was not rooted in burnout alone, nor was it driven by scandal, fading relevance, or financial necessity. Instead, it came from a quiet realization that fulfillment could not be endlessly postponed in the pursuit of productivity. Carrey spoke openly about wanting rest, space, and freedom. The freedom to wake up without a schedule dictated by production calendars or public demand. For the first time in decades, he allowed himself to exist without an audience, discovering that solitude could be restorative rather than lonely. This step back was not a rejection of his career, but a pause that honored everything it had cost him emotionally and mentally over the years. Art, reflection, and inner growth. Away from the noise of Hollywood, Carrey turned inward, embracing a slower and more reflective way of living. Painting became a primary form of expression, offering him a creative outlet free from scripts, reviews, or expectations. Through color and form, he explored emotions that words and performance often struggled to contain. Alongside art, Carrey immersed himself in philosophy, meditation, and self-inquiry, questioning long-held ideas about identity, ego, and success. Those close to him noticed a visible shift: less urgency, more presence, and a calm that replaced the manic energy the world once associated with him. This chapter of his life was not about withdrawal, but transformation, a conscious effort to align daily living with inner values rather than external rewards. In choosing stillness, Carrey found clarity, redefining success as peace rather than applause, humor as wisdom, not escape. Even during this quieter phase, Jim Carrey never abandoned humor. It simply evolved. No longer used as armor or distraction, humor became a lens for understanding the human condition. His comedy has always carried depth beneath its surface absurdity, touching on themes of identity, illusion, and connection. In reflection, Carrey acknowledged that laughter and seriousness are not opposites, but partners, each enriching the other. His ability to embrace silliness while confronting existential questions reveals a mature understanding of joy, not as escapism, but as insight. Humor, for Carrey, became a way to disarm fear, dissolve ego, and invite empathy. It remained a bridge between people, reminding audiences that laughter can coexist with vulnerability and that meaning often hides within the ridiculous. Redefining legacy and success. Jim Carrey's legacy can no longer be measured solely by box office numbers, iconic characters, or cultural impact, though all remain significant. It now lives in his willingness to evolve, to step away when continuation felt misaligned, and to speak honestly about the costs of fame. By choosing authenticity over expectation, Carrey challenges conventional definitions of success that prioritize visibility over well-being. His journey encourages a reevaluation of what it means to make it, suggesting that fulfillment comes not from recognition, but from alignment with personal truth. In redefining success on his own terms, Carrey offers a powerful example of integrity, reminding others that growth sometimes requires letting go of what once defined you. Conclusion: a life beyond the laugh track. Jim Carrey's journey is ultimately a story of resilience, creativity, and self-discovery. Behind the laughter that shaped generations lies a man who faced hardship, navigated loss, and confronted his inner struggles with honesty. By stepping away from the spotlight, he demonstrated that fulfillment is not found in constant visibility or relentless achievement, but in understanding oneself. His life reminds us that reinvention is not a sign of failure. It is an act of courage. And in choosing reflection over repetition, Jim Carrey continues to inspire, proving that the most meaningful performances often take place far from the stage, in the quiet moments where growth truly begins.